going, guys? Tonight we're gonna do simplify, and whenever you're asked to simplify in trigonometry or precalculus 2, what they want you to do is to make it simple. That's why the word simplify, right? So I'm gonna give you three examples that are very different, and I'm gonna show you how to simplify these. Okay, so let's start with the first one. 2 cosine squared x half minus 1. Well, let's first a little bit of caution. This is 2. I know the notation is different, but bear with me. If you were to write this clearly, this is what that is expressing. Okay? So it's the cosine of x over 2 squared. Now, you need to know the identities for cosine of x over 2, which is the half angle formula. The half angle formula for cosine is the square root plus or minus the square root of cosine of x plus 1 over 2. And then there's the square minus 1. Okay? Now, the plus or minus in the square root with this square will just be what's inside the square root. So this is going to just be 2 times cosine of x plus 1 over 2 minus 1. Now, we can multiply fractions by making this into a fractions. Now, a trick that I like to use in class is the commutative trick, right? You switch the numbers, the 1 and the 2. Since it's multiplication, you have 2 over 2 times cosine of x plus 1 over 1. Okay, I switch those two numbers. Now, the reason I do that is because 2 over 2 is 1, and you're left with 1 times cosine of x plus 1 over 1 minus 1. I know the extra ones are unnecessary, so I'm just going to get rid of them. Now that you don't have anything besides a 1 outside the parentheses, you can drop the parentheses, and you're left with cosine of x plus 1 and then minus 1. And clearly, plus 1 minus 1 would just give you 0, so you're left with cosine of x. And that's the most simplified it can get. So that's how you find the answer. Now, for the next one, 2 minus secant squared of x over secant squared of x. Again, we can split this into two denominators, so 2 over secant squared of x minus secant squared of x over secant squared of x. Now, 2 over secant squared, remember that secant squared is the reciprocal of cosine, so you really have 2 over 1 over cosine squared of x. Okay, minus secant squared of x over secant squared of x is just 1. You have 2 over 1 over cosine squared. Remember, we multiply by the reciprocal of the denominator. In this case, is the reciprocal of 1 over cosine squared, which leaves you with 2 over 1 times cosine squared x over 1. You're left with 2 cosine squared of x minus 1. If you remember, this is also an identity, is cosine of 2x. And that will be your most simplified form. Now this one is it's a little bit more challenging because it requires more computation. So we have to FOIL the first two. So the first one and the second one. So let me expand this. Cosine x sine x plus 2 cosine of 2x squared So I'm going to get rid of the square. This brush is too big. Perfect. Okay. When I get rid of the square, I'm going to multiply it again. So let's move the screen a little bit over. So -4 cosine of x sine of x plus 2 cosine of 2x. Okay, now before I continue, notice that -4 cosine x sine x is the same thing if I put a -2 times 2 cosine x sine x. Okay, and then plus 2 cosine of 2x. Then I do the same thing here, -2 times 2 cosine x sine x plus 2 cosine of 2x. Now don't forget, we haven't yet written a second part of the plus, but I want to simplify the first part. Okay, now -2, so this term right here is also an identity. So this is -2 sine of 2x plus 2 cosine of 2x. And again, -2 times sine of 2x plus 2 cosine of 2x. Now, notice that you can factor the 2's. So we factor the 2, and you have negative sine of 2x plus cosine of 2x. And then we factor the 2 here also. We have negative sine of 2x plus cosine of 2x. Okay, now 2 times 2 is 4. I'm going to switch these two around to make it neatly. So it's going to be cosine of 2x minus sine of 2x. And then cosine of 2x minus sine of 2x. Now we expand that, we FOIL. Okay, cosine times cosine is cosine squared of 2x minus sine of 2x cosine of 2x minus sine of 2x cosine of 2x, and then plus sine squared of 2x. It gives you 4. I'm going to group cosine squared with sine squared. So cosine squared 2x plus sine squared of 2x. Then negative and negative makes -2 sine of 2x cosine of 2x. Now this whole thing gives you 1. So you're left with 1 minus 2 sine of 2x cosine of 2x. Now this whole thing can be simplified again by the double angle formula. So this is 4 times 1 minus sine of 4x. And that's just the first part. Now we have to do the same thing. This is this part. Now we have to do the same thing for this part. So 2 cosine 2x plus 4 sine of x cosine x. Let me just vary here. 2 cosine of 2x. So 2 cosine of 2x plus 4 sine x cosine x squared, which is the same thing multiplied together. Okay. Now notice here the 4 and sine x cosine x, we can split the 4 into 2 times 2. Okay. So you're left with 2 cosine of 2x, 2 times 2 sine of x cosine of x. Same thing here, 2 cosine of 2x, 2 times 2 sine of x cosine of x. Now remember that this is a identity, a double angle identity. So left with 2 cosine of 2x plus 2 sine of 2x. 2 cosine of 2x plus 2 sine of 2x. You can factor the 2's both on this one and this one. You have left 4 times cosine of 2x plus sine of 2x multiply by that again. So again, I factor the 2 from this parenthesis and the factor the 2 from this one. I got 4. Now we FOIL. Cosine times cosine is cosine squared. Cosine of 2x sine of 2x plus sine of 2x cosine of 2x plus sine squared of 2x. Again, we group cosine squared with sine squared, and that gives you 1 plus this, and this gives you 2 cosine of 2x sine of 2x. And again, that's also a double angle identity. So you're left with 1 plus sine of 4x. So now we have 4 times 1 minus 4x and plus 4 times 1 plus sine of 4x. Okay. So in total, so putting those two together, you have 4 times 1 minus sine of 4x plus 4 times 1 plus sine of 4x. We distribute the 4, we get 4 minus 4 sine of 4x plus 4 sine of 4x. Clearly, negative 4 sine of 4x and 4 sine of 4x equal to 0. 4 plus 4 equals to 8. And that will be your answer. Okay? So if you have any questions, leave it in the comments below or ask me in class. Thank you.